There's a car sitting on a dealer lot right now with a clean title, a low mileage count, and a Carfax report that says, one owner, no accidents. And when the next buyer sits in it, they will smell a faint odour, pine air freshener, or maybe nothing at all, and they will sign the paperwork. They'll drive home thinking they got a deal. Within 6 months, the electrical system will start failing. The brakes will corrode from the inside out. Mould will grow behind the dashboard panels, in the ducts, in the carpet padding beneath their feet. The car won't be worthless. It will be dangerous. That car is a flood vehicle, and the dealer who sold it either knew or paid just enough to not know. Both are profitable. Only one is legal. Here's the part no one talks about. There are roughly 250,000 flood-damaged vehicles that re-enter the used car market after every major hurricane season, according to data compiled by the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Not every single one carries a salvage title. Thousands of them get laundered through a process called title washing, moved state to state, re-registered, and rebuilt just enough to pass a surface inspection. The title comes back clean because the system allows it. The car itself does not lie. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. 4 things a flood car cannot fully hide. I know what they are because I bought and resold vehicles at auction for 15 years. I've seen flood cars prepped for sale. I know what the reconditioning process looks like, and I know where it always falls short. You don't need a mechanic to catch most of this. You need 60 seconds and the right places to look. The used car market in America is an $800 billion industry. After a major flood event, Harvey, Ida, Ian, insurers total out tens of thousands of vehicles. Those cars get auctioned off as salvage. Some get repaired properly. Most get cleaned up fast, retitled in a state with lax title laws, and fed back into the retail supply chain. The margins are enormous. A flood car that retails for $18,000 might have been bought at auction for $4,500. You do the math on why someone takes that risk. The NHTSA estimates that at any given time, between 1% and 3% of used vehicles on American roads have undisclosed flood damage. That sounds small. It isn't. There are approximately 40 million used car sales in the United States every year. Even at 1%, that's 400,000 people a year buying something they were not told the truth about. Some of them figure it out. Many never do, until the repair bills start arriving. Let's get into the 4 things they cannot hide. The first is the smell. And before you say that's obvious, stay with me, because this is more specific than you think. The reconditioning team knows about the smell. They ozonate the cabin. They spray antimicrobial treatments into the vents. They leave air fresheners for days before the car hits the lot. When you test drive it, it smells fine. Sometimes it smells great. They're good at this. But there are 2 places they can't effectively reach with those treatments, and those 2 places will tell you the truth. Pull back the carpet in the trunk. Not just the floor mat, the actual cargo floor covering. Lift it. Most trunks have a small flap or recessed area you can grab. What you're looking for is not necessarily visible mold, though that happens. You're looking for a musty, earthy smell that is distinctly different from the rest of the car. You're looking for rust staining on the spare tyre well, waterline residue, a faint but definite horizontal mark on the inside walls of the trunk where water sat. You're looking for grit, silt, the fine sediment that flood water carries and deposits as it recedes. Dealers can shampoo the cabin carpet. They cannot steam clean the trunk cavity to the level that removes all odour from the foam backing underneath the trunk liner. That foam holds. It always holds. The second place, the door jambs. Open all 4 doors and crouch down. Look at the bottom edge of the door jamb, where the door sill meets the floor, the area that's usually protected by a plastic sill plate. Remove the plate if it's easy to pop off. Look at the metal underneath. Fresh flood vehicles, even well-prepped ones, show surface rust, sediment staining, or a slightly chalky white residue from mineral deposits left when floodwater evaporated. New cars don't have rust in door jambs. Old cars that were never flooded have consistent, uniform rust patterns, not the blotchy, uneven staining that flood exposure leaves. The second thing a flood car cannot hide is its electrical behaviour. Water and wiring are enemies. The damage isn't always immediate, it's progressive. Floodwater penetrates every connector, every sensor, every control module housed beneath the carpet and below the seats. The reconditioning team dries the car, resets the computer, clears any codes. The dash lights go off. The car seems to run fine, for a while. What you're going to do, right there in the parking lot, before you ever start the engine, is run an electrical checklist. Take 15 minutes, do every single one of these things. Roll all 4 windows down, then back up without stopping. Watch for hesitation, grinding or uneven speed between windows. A window motor that got wet does not fail immediately. It sticks, it stutters, it moves at a different speed than the others. Turn on every accessory. Air conditioning on max. Heat on max. Every fan speed. Seat heaters if equipped. Rear defroster. Heated mirrors. Check each one individually. Look at the instrument cluster while you do this. Watch for any flicker in the dash lighting, any momentary dimming when you activate a major load. Corroded electrical connections show their damage under load, not at rest. Pair your phone to the Bluetooth, make a call, switch to the infotainment screen and check every input. Tap every menu item. Flood damage to the head unit shows up as ghost touches, frozen screens, or inputs that respond erratically. The touch screen is one of the first units to degrade from moisture exposure. Check the OBD2 port. Bring a code reader. The Ansel RD310 is $19 on Amazon, fits in your glove box, and reads every stored and pending trouble code on any vehicle made after 1996. Plug it into the OBD port under the driver's side dash. Run a full scan before you start the engine. A flood car that has been cleared and reset will often show a pattern of unrelated codes across multiple systems: transmission, ABS, airbag, HVAC, that don't make logical sense together on a low-mileage vehicle. That pattern is a fingerprint. Multiple system faults on a car with 40,000 miles means those systems got wet. The third thing is what's underneath the car, and most buyers never look. Get on your knees, use your phone flashlight. Look at the undercarriage. New vehicles and low-mileage vehicles have a characteristic look under the chassis. They're not perfectly clean, but the metal is largely intact. The heat shielding is in good shape, and surface rust is minimal and consistent with age. A flood vehicle shows something different: accelerated, uneven corrosion. The frame rails, the subframe, the suspension components. All of it shows corrosion that is too advanced for the stated age or mileage of the car. Look specifically at 2 areas. First, the floor pans, the underside of the floor directly beneath the cabin. Flood vehicles corrode there faster than anywhere else because that area traps water inside the vehicle's structure. Second, look at the brake lines and fuel lines. They run the length of the car. On a clean vehicle, they're silver or lightly corroded at connection points. On a flood vehicle, they show heavy, flaky rust along their entire length, in patterns that don't match the surface rust you'd expect from normal age. Look at the exhaust components. The catalytic converter and the muffler show flood damage faster than most people expect. They run hot and cool rapidly, which drives the oxidation process when they've been submerged. While you're down there, look at the wheel wells. Flood water carries sediment, silt, clay, fine debris. Even after a detail, dried sediment often remains packed into the recessed areas of the wheel well where a pressure washer can't fully reach. Run your finger into the top of the front wheel well and look at what comes back on your fingertip. The fourth is the one dealers count on you never checking, because most buyers don't know it exists. It's called the vehicle history decoding, not the Carfax, not the auto check. Those reports are only as good as the data that gets reported to them. A flooded vehicle that was never officially totaled by an insurer, or one that was titled in a non-disclosure state, may show a clean report. The report is not lying. The report just doesn't know. What you need is the NHTSA complaint database and the NICB VINCheck. The NICB, National Insurance Crime Bureau, offers a free tool at nicb.org VINCheck. You enter the VIN. It cross-references that vehicle identification number against insurance records for theft reports, total loss designations, and salvage filings. It is free. It takes 30 seconds. A dealer will never tell you to run this. Run it on your phone in the parking lot before you walk inside. The NHTSA complaint database at nhtsa.gov on your vehicle shows you every complaint filed by consumers and owners for that specific vehicle's make, model, and year. If a specific model year had high rates of electrical failure after a flood season, you'll see the complaint pattern. Cross-reference the model year with the hurricane seasons that preceded it. If a 2017 model car in a coastal state shows heavy electrical complaints filed in 2018, that's a signal worth paying attention to. Then there's the VIN decoder itself. Every VIN contains the manufacturing plant, the model year, the production sequence, and in some cases the original market destination. Use the NHTSA VIN decoder at vpica.nhtsa.gov to pull every piece of data embedded in that number. A car sold with a VIN that shows it was originally titled in Louisiana, Texas, or Florida, high flood event states, that is now being sold 3 states away, with a title from a state that doesn't require flood disclosure, is a pattern, not proof. A pattern. One that requires a closer look before you proceed. Now combine the NICB check, the NHTSA data, and your physical inspection results. 3 data points from 3 independent sources. If all 3 are clean, you've done more due diligence than 95% of buyers ever do. If any one of them shows a flag, you know what to do. Everything I've just walked you through is compiled in a single inspection guide inside the dealer vault. A complete system built for the parking lot, the auction preview, and the independent lot. It covers flood detection, title washing, odometer fraud, F&I tricks, and trade-in manipulation. The link is in the description. Use it before you buy, not after. But stay with me here, because the next thing I want to cover is the one that dealers are most afraid of you knowing, and it has nothing to do with the car's condition. Let me tell you what this knowledge changes, not about the car, but about the transaction. When you walk onto a dealer lot knowing how to do all of this, you become a different kind of buyer. The salesman's job is to keep you focused on emotion, the colour, the feel of the interior, the way it accelerates on the test drive. The paperwork comes later. The inspection happens after the deal. That's the design of the experience. You break that design the moment you pull out your phone in the parking lot, crouch down beside the front wheel well and run your finger along the inside of the arch before you've said a word to anyone. You break it when you pop the trunk and lift the liner before you ask about the price. You break it when you scan the OBD port with a $19 device while the salesman is getting the key fob. They know what those actions mean, not because they're all hiding flood cars, most aren't, but because those actions signal that the normal sequence doesn't apply to you. The soft questions, the payment anchoring, the trade-in delay, none of those techniques land on someone who already knows why they're happening. That's the real value here. The flood car checklist arms you for one type of fraud, but the posture it creates, the deliberate, knowledgeable inspection posture that protects you against every type. A dealer who watches you work through a systematic inspection before you negotiate is not going to try the same moves on you that he tries on the buyer who came in off the highway and fell in love with the paint colour. You came here with a question: how do I know if a car has been flooded? You're leaving with a system, 4 independent checks that don't require a mechanic, don't require an appointment, and don't require you to trust anything the seller says. You do the work. You make the call. If someone you know is looking at a used car right now, send them this. Not because it helps the channel, because it might save them $4,000 in hidden repairs, or a brake failure they didn't see coming, or 6 months of respiratory symptoms from mould they can't find. That's not hyperbole. The NHTSA has documented cases where flood vehicles re-entered the retail market with airbag systems that were compromised by water damage to the control module. Airbags that didn't deploy when they should have. Cars that looked clean. Cars that had clean titles. Every person who watches this is one less easy target. That's the whole point of this channel. Subscribe if you want to stay armed, not for my benefit, but because there's another video coming that covers something I saw done to buyers in the finance office for years. Something so systematic and so legal that it doesn't even make the news. You'll want to be there for it. Everything shared here is general consumer information. Always have a qualified mechanic perform a full pre-purchase inspection before buying any used vehicle.